It's not Christmas yet, but I have quite a few presents for you. Actually, 20 presents.
I'm
Meaning
concerned.
unprepared questions, and 20 of them.
20 wait,
I will
wait,
just
wait, wait, wait.
shuffle, and you will blindly choose one.
Oh, you want
and
me
you
to-
will try to.
You want me to
answer
choose
it.
one?
Yes.
Okay, you don't want me to do 20 unprepared questions right now.
Not right now. Not
Okay.
in time.
But you wrote 20 all at once?
Yes, I did. Please
Wow.
choose.
What if I don't like it?
You have to answer anyway. Oh, you have to at least try.
Okay, right, sure.
They are totally fine. All of them. Since I made them.
All right. Okay, all right.
Can you read it?
Yeah. Suing in the USA, most famous cases.
Great.
You know, I have a few ideas about that.
I thought you might.
Let's do it. Okay, so suing in the United States. It would be helpful if you tell me what you know or what impressions you have already.
Well, I just wrote the question because there's a kind of knowledge that foreigners have about the USA, that there's these crazy cases that people actually win,
Okay.
that doesn't make any sense, and people make a lot of money. It sounds like a business, and sometimes it seems like everybody sue everybody. So can you
okay.
make this clear? Is it so usual, and does these cases really exist, or is it something that we think you have but it's completely different?
Okay, so the first thing I'll respond to is like how common it is. The thing is, I believe the American culture is much quicker to sue than a lot of other countries, definitely more than European countries. It does seem to be something that people consider as an option very quickly. Whether or not they actually do it is a different question, because there's actually a lot of risk in suing someone. If it doesn't go your way, you can get countersued, which means the person that you were trying to sue returns the sue to you. And then you would be responsible for the legal fees of both sides, and it can really backfire.
So it can cost you a lot if you,
It could cost a lot if you lose, yeah.
and they sue back.
Exactly. And even though it does happen a lot and people use it as an option a lot, it's not part of everyday life. Like, I think most Americans in their whole lives never sue anyone and never get sued.
So you never sued anybody, and you've never been.
No. I've never been involved in suing
And you
in
know
any
somebody
direction.
around you that.
No, I don't know anyone
Okay.
anyone close to me who has been sued or sued someone else. Not that I know of. So it is something that we talk about, but just kind of as a possibility. Now, when it comes to the amount that people ask for when they do sue, this was your other impression, that it's some huge amounts of money. This, I think, is pretty accurate, because there's a completely different mentality about how much you should ask for when you sue. My impression is, like, in Europe, if you're going to sue someone, you sue them for the specific amount of money that you lost. Like, for example, if you gave a deposit on an apartment and it was 500 euros and the landlord refuses to give you the deposit back, if you go to court and you prove that you have the legal right, you will sue them for 500 euros because that's how much money you think you owe.
Maybe you're getting something extra for that.
Maybe for the legal fees or
But
something like this.
definitely not more than the actual
Okay.
price.
In the US, there's the money that you think you lost or that you are owed. And on top of that, they add all kinds of different things. So lawyers are very expensive. So they will add the legal fees, of course. The lawyer will actually be paid out of the winnings of the court case, often it's like this.
So it's free if you don't have to pay in advance for the lawyer.
I believe that usually the loser in the case has to pay the legal fees of both sides.
Uh-huh.
And that if you win a large amount of money, the lawyers will take a lot of it.
Yeah, but before the court starts, you have to pay the lawyer.
You can't. Yes. Yeah. If this is kind of a different question about the legal system. But if you have the money to actually hire a lawyer, you can pay them in advance, and they will be your lawyer. Maybe even a business has them like as their full-time lawyer, and they pay them a salary, things like this. In other cases, there are possibilities to say, okay, if I win, you will get this percent, or you will get this hourly fee, blah, blah, like this.
Okay.
So the legal fees are added to how much they ask for. Then very often they'll say, because of this injury, for example, or because of this traumatic experience, I will earn this much less in my job for the rest of my life. So they make the argument, because of this emotional traumatic experience, I will never be CEO of my company. And I had the potential, and if I was the CEO of my company, I would make this much, but now I won't do that, so I make this much less.
So the person doesn't have to be hurt like
physically,
but mentally.
Right.
Which is really hard to say it's not true.
Right. I mean, it should be just as hard to prove that it is true, but usually they will make the argument that the earning potential over the course of their whole life is less, and so they will add that amount to the amount they're suing for. Then things for emotional distress, like that they will need therapy, and so the winnings should pay for that. Psychological damages, all this stuff. So this all adds up to sometimes a pretty simple event or injury can end up someone be sued for millions or even tens of millions of dollars.
And these extreme cases got to us, and I as far as I know, I've heard two cases.
Okay.
And I think both of them are from USA.
Probably, yeah.
The one was the case was about the microwave and the cat, and the old lady put the cat inside the microwave, not to cook it, but I think she just wanted to
dry it.
To dry it because the cat was wet.
Right.
And it didn't work as she planned.
She was not a satisfied customer.
No, and
nor was the cat.
She sued the microwave company, and I think she won. So
I mean, the thing is, I've heard this story. Unprepared question, so I don't know if this is true.
Yeah.
But as an American, I would not be at all surprised if it was true and if she won. So that just tells you something about the culture of suing. But there was not. So the second one that you heard.
And the second one was, I'm pretty sure you know this one. I don't know any details, but it was with the coffee was too hot, and
it's classic.
Somebody spilled it on himself, and then sued the company.
It was
not written there.
Right.
That's what he said.
It was McDonald's coffee. So she got coffee from McDonald's, and she had it. She was driving, and she had it in her lap, and she hit a bump or something, and the coffee went over her lap and burned her. And this, I mean, this is probably the most famous story. I'm pretty sure that it's true. Many years ago, I read an article about the woman in the story.
Okay.
And so I'm like 95% sure that this is a real story, that she really won.
Well, we can see the proof still on the cups.
And now it's written.
It's hot. Actually.
Now it's written everywhere in the cups. Contents may be hot. When if you order a hot coffee like this. I think, this speaks to a different approach to the law, and I'm really going outside of my realms of knowledge here. But my impression is that in Europe, if someone tried to do this same case, the judge would say, well, there's no law that says the company is responsible for this accident. So if a law gets written, that you have to have it there in the cup, then come back to me and we'll talk again. It's the opposite in America. She comes with this case and the judge says, well, there's no law that says that the company isn't responsible. So there's actually no law that says either way. Therefore, we have to kind of...
There's more space for debate.
Yeah, it's up for discussion. This is the impression that I have. And this leads to the really surprising thing, not that people decide to sue for their own stupid mistakes, if I'm being honest, not that they decide to sue for huge amounts of money. The most surprising thing for me is that they win.
Yeah, that's the most surprising for us too, because that's what we heard, and when we hear it, it sounds really strange. Something like this wouldn't happen.
But I think this is
somewhere in
something
Europe, I think.
deeper in like the law culture in the US, that if it's not really clear and very specifically said in the law, then it's kind of up for debate. And if you have a good lawyer, maybe they will convince the judge that you should win.
So what you're saying is it's actually true. There are these cases and Americans could sue you more often.
Yeah.
So you
Well,
might have some advice for our viewers
I would
about this.
like. I mean, again, it's not an everyday part of life. You could spend your whole life in the U.S. and probably never get sued and never have to worry about this. But Americans are a little bit quicker to consider this as an option. So I would say if you're living in the U.S. and you have some kind of conflict with your landlord or your neighbor, or I don't know, you have a small accident in the car and the other person is really aggressive, you should be very motivated to try to resolve these conflicts, or at least not make them think that you're saying, well, screw you, what are you going to do? Because what they might do is decide to sue you. It's probably a more likely possibility in the US than in your home country. But don't walk around worrying about being sued by anyone. Like it needs to be a pretty good case, because the person who decides to sue you also needs to accept the risk that it could backfire. To bring it to court. So just try to keep the dialogue open if there's a conflict, would be my advice.
Or never show your ID, because then he cannot sue you.
This is not the legal advice from Explain the USA.
It's just a thought. We are not advising anything.
Yeah, don't take your legal advice from us in any context.
And please don't sue us, because
No, don't sue us. Yeah. So if you have any questions, you should leave them in the comments below. And
if you want to see more of our questions, we have this whole channel about the USA, so you can see more of it.
You should definitely subscribe and tune in for the next video, because this weekend I'm planning to get a haircut. And I'm not quite sure. Yeah, you see, we've got this going on now. I'm not sure how I feel about it. So I don't know what's going to happen over the weekend. So you should tune in for the next video and find out. And if you don't like it, you can sue me. But please don't sue me. Thanks for watching, everyone.
See you next time.
Bye.